Welcome back to a 2024 updated Ninja tier list. The Ninja tier list, I think, was like the first tier list I ever recorded, so this is the most in need of an update. We did get exactly one new Ninja since then, that's Phoenix, and yeah, let's just get straight into it. I'm older, I'm wiser, let's see if any of my opinions changed, and then maybe we could check out my old video to compare where we left off. I'm gonna go a little quick because some of these tier lists run a little long, so first and foremost, Alchemist Sarah. My S tier requirement is a Ninja that does everything. It's hugely relevant to the meta of the game and is absolutely like a commander slot. I guess the everything statement is more for weapons now that I think about it because of like ranged and group damage, super different. I'm going to think of this as like meta viability. If you are using Alchemist Sarah, you're basically healing yourself with smoke bombs and she's pretty good at that. But that's pretty much all she does. I put her in A tier a lot before because it's a really good healing perk and Smoke Bomb's a super common ability, and I kind of stick by that logic, but I don't know how many times people are favoring her over coconuts, for example, because that's a thing that exists, but I typically want to rank ninjas compared to other ninjas. That's why there's only ninjas in this video. So, in the scope of ninjas only, I'm going to stick her in A tier. This is Anti-Cuddle Sarah. She gives you energy when you get melee kills. I'm putting her in A tier. That is a really, really good perk when you are using a build that needs energy. Super useful. I've had a lot of like spin to win builds where she's essential and ear splitter spam and surround pound spam, and she can be aided in some really, really good builds. Assassin Sarah is easily our first S tier hero. She stacks up your damage over 5 hits in a row. It's like 22% in support or something and 90% in the lead once she's all the way ramped up. It's a ridiculous amount of damage. She is one of the best leads in the entire game, right next to like Paleo Luna, but we'll get to her. Bladestorm Enforcer is a little bit more down to earth, if I can show them real quick here. I got these ordered by like alphabetical, so we can go quick today. Kunai Storm explodes. It's not a ton of damage, but there's like a ton of Kunai projectiles, so he's fun. He's fun. Kunai's pretty good, but I've been told I undervalue that. That remains to be true. I've used Kunai in the end game. That's how I rank things. It's a fun ability if you're early on in ventures and in the game, and your Kunai exploding is great. That's why he's a B tier, but nothing too much more than that. Brawler Luna is F tier. I believe she has something to do with Crescent Kick, and that's all I needed to say about that. Usually if you're tied to Crescent Kick, it's not so good. Cloak Shadow. So when you get a kill as a ninja, in fact, let me just pull up his abilities since I'm usually recording these videos where new players might be watching. You don't know everything. So every single ninja has the class perk Shadow Stance. When you get a kill with a melee, you have extra armor and movement speed. Pretty nice. That's why you turn into a shadow when you use a ninja. He makes it so that Shadow Stance does some extra damage. It's kind of nice. It's kind of nice. I'll put it in C tier. If you're an early game player, that's the only time you should be using that. It's kind of like an F tier in the end game because it's not that much damage, but I'll put him in C tier because I'm kind of catering to the newbies here today. It's, again, hey, that's why I update these tier lists. If you record this video 100 times, if I recorded this 100 times, you're going to get like 100 different lists because it's all subjective. We're comparing heroes that buff melee damage compared to like damage from Shadow Stance. How do you even do that? Also, Daimos is a starter pack hero, no longer purchasable, no longer available, exact same perk as Cloak Shadow. I'm just going down the list because I have my little cheat sheet of all of the names because some of the less relevant ninjas are lost on me. Cloak Star, I believe, is Throwing Star. Let me just remind myself real quick. I'm glad I sorted this. This is actually a really good way to do this because sometimes I forget the name of stuff. It happens. You know, if I don't use a hero in a long time, I forget. And he is the Cloak Star. Adds 1 additional to the arc. It's kind of okay. I'll put him in like D tier. Throwing stars are pretty good, but the fan actually kind of hurts it. Focusing on a single target and throwing multiple shurikens on that target is usually best for that character. Egg Bombs from Kunai. This is Dashing Hair Ken. So I forgot the name, but I know the ability. When you use Kunai, it explodes with Egg Bombs. I think that's slightly better than Bladestorm. Pretty much the same thing, though. Deadly Blade Crash is another S tier hero. She's going to be low S tier just because it's not that instant of a kill, but it's a ton of damage. So I have mentioned a Deadly Blade Crash pretty much every time I can in every ninja loadout video ever. If you crit with your melee, which is easy to do if you're using White Elf Fiona in support or Totally Rockin' Out or a crit rating perk, if you crit with a melee, you snare them, slow them down, and afflict them, which does extra damage. Now it's once per second, so it's a slow rollout of damage, but it's a lot of easy extra damage. She's good in the lead or support, which is why I'm putting her in S tier. Super, super useful. Deadly Lotus Luna. I don't specifically remember what she does, but I know it's something to do with spears. So let's go and track her down and then talk about this together right here. Yeah, I was about to pause, but spear damage. 25% against afflicted is really good because you can easily afflict. Most spears aren't that good, so I don't know. Affliction on a spear is really easy to activate, and I feel like she is just kind of nice to add on. A melee expert in chat is telling me that like that's just worse than Assassin Sarah because affliction is terrible, but the affliction damage isn't that much. I don't know. I don't know. I think he's talking about Deadly Blade Crash, though. So I'll put her in like B tier. I see the viability if you have Affliction on your melee, which is already strong to have, but it's spears only, which is really, really limited. I don't even know who this is again. Deadly Star Scorpion, right? Affliction Affliction on your shurikens. Shuriken's actually a really good single target ability, and he's kind of nice to throw on there. I'll put him in high C tier, just because it's like, you don't want to have... It's interesting because it does make your shurikens better and it's a decent ability, but he should only be your support perk if you're a new player with none of the better options, and that, I feel like that's where he should go. Dennis, basically he makes it so that if you kill an enemy, they drop burgers on the ground and they heal you and give you energy. It's kind of nice. He is not your top pick for healing. Again, smoke bomb healing is good. Coconuts exist. I know I'm supposed to be ranking ninjas versus ninjas, but I can't pretend that survivalist Jonesy doesn't exist, where you just get a kill and he heals you for 13 base health every second. So burgers that you have to run over, which means you're running over a fallen enemy, which could be acid pools, exploding death bomb. You could have slowing pools, all sorts of, beehives. If you're running into where the enemies are, it's lethal. So the health might not always work out. I don't know. I'll put him in like C tier because it's just not that viable. Next up, we got Dimmok Mari. She's smoke bomb cooldown, which is, again, if you're using smoke bomb, that's great, but health isn't nearly as important. So I'll put her in B tier. If you're running smoke bomb, she's good to have, but it's it's just a smoke bomb cooldown, not that much. Dire is really interesting. He gives you a 25% movement speed bonus, which is huge, at night, which is not huge. So in Frost Knight, he's fantastic. Absolute S tier hero for Frost Knight. This is why you guys need to watch these videos through instead of skipping to the end, because it matters. If you're running Frost Knight or the lab dungeon specifically, but little tip here, since I get this question a ton. If you go to the dungeon zone, which is available right now, run the crypts a single time. That will unlock the lab, by the way. And then if you run the lab like a couple of times, I can even show this just because I have the quest open right now. Lab expert. Yeah, right here. Run it 2 times, you can get Chaos Agent after that. So in the lab specifically, Dire is a flat 25% movement bonus. So it's 20, S tier hero, seriously, for the support squad at least. Maybe B tier because he's only ever active sometimes, and his team perk is actually pretty good. In fact, I can illustrate that right now. If we just go to any loadout, I can show you Hunter's Instinct. So for every epic or whatever, if you fill out your support, you can max out a pretty big damage bonus and pretty big melee bonus. I know 0.08 is not a lot, but you need to multiply that times 40. So it actually ends up being a pretty decent passive bonus. So his team perk kind of carries that. Next up is Dragon Scorch, S tier hero. Yeah. Oh man, that might be too much. That might be too much. The reason I'm putting him in S tier is because of events. Now, in the end game, he is an A tier hero. Dragon Slash, he does extra damage and range, and it's just a better Dragon Slash overall. That is excellent for hit the road, low level dungeons, ventures up until the high 100 zones. If you're a brand new player, Dragon Slash with Dragon Scorch in the lead is going to be great until the high 100 zones. And lately I've changed my opinion where I rank stuff in the end game because I feel like if it can't hold up in the 160 zones when other stuff can, then what's the point? Well, the point is that most of your journey in Save the World is not in the end game. Most of your journey in Ventures is being a low level. So these really strong abilities that are good up until the end game are still worth considering. So he's easily a high A tier, maybe even S tier hero. Really, really strong. Definitely should be using him. And that's just my new opinion. Hey, you wait 2 years to update a video and you get a fresher mind. You get a fresher perspective on the game. Energy Thief Mari is, I don't even know. Oh wait, is Energy Thief like from, oh wow, I just realized I can hit escape to go back and I have 7,000 hours in this game. How did I just learn that? Oh my god. Crescent Kit gives you energy. That's useless. F tier. Easy F tier. Fleetfoot Ken. I can't believe I just learned how easy that is. Fleetfoot Ken gives you a 12.5% movement speed bonus. He is an S tier hero for brand new players by far, until you realize that 12% movement isn't that much, and then you have any other pick. He's in like the C tier, maybe right next to Dire. I don't know. Flat movement speed is great, but 12.5% is hardly anything at all. And since I'm going alphabetically, it's actually fair to note, Phoenix. Phoenix is our new hero. He is the newest character. Oh my god, escape makes this so much smoother instead of going to back on the bottom right every time. It is just the easiest thing to manage this. Tamed Wildlife, apply extra damage, vulnerability, useless in support. You need to use him in the commander, where it basically turns all of your animals into a Nocturno, kind of. a Nocturno 6 perk. If your animals attack a target, they'll explode when they get shot. It's really interesting. It's a really, really interesting ability. It's not viable at all because of the current state of animals in this game. It just makes him really, really hard to take advantage of. So S tier idea, but in game right now, I'll have to put him in like S tier. He's or like C tier. Sorry, he's kind of like below Dennis and movement, I think, is where he's at. The next one on our list, yeah, we're just gonna move right on past him because there's not much to say. The next one on our list might be, I don't know her exact name. In fact, I'm looking at my cheat sheet here. It's Forged Fate. There we are. Yeah, sword heavy attack efficiency. There's another hero that's a Vanguard, I think, which is a melee attack heavy attack or something like that. Sword heavy attack efficiency. Most swords have pretty mediocre heavy attacks. The Ravager, Spectral Blade are examples that are exceptions, but you're usually not using heavy attack ever. It's S tier if it's exactly what you need, but like D tier, really. When are you ever actually using that? I'll keep her in mind as like a hero you might want. I know Iwari was talking a lot about like it was like a Spectral Blade heavy attack spam build. It's not super strong. It's not a top meta build or anything, but she's needed in a build like that. So an interesting hero to keep in mind, but not that useful. Same situation as Freeboot Ken. He gives you full shields when you smoke bomb, which is not nearly as useful as healing you throughout the smoke bomb. So I'll put him in D tier. Like, he's good when you need him, but not really doing much else. And yeah, we're gonna have a long string of mediocre heroes here. Moving on to Harvester Sarah. Scythe damage, 25% to slowed and snared. You'd think that's the same as the Affliction, but you're already probably running Affliction on a weapon, and melee Affliction damage is super good. That's why I think her 25% bonus on top of that is kind of okay. But Snare is not something you ever really want to be using on a melee because Affliction's so strong. So D tier, honestly. I've never used a build where she was useful. I'm not putting these in any order down here, by the way, just kind of throwing her in there. Hybrid is an interesting one. He used to be an easy F tier for a long time, but he's been using his Commander perk in support forever, which is still not that much. Dragon Slash Affliction is okay. It's kind of good, but Affliction duration used to be useless. However, the Affliction has been buffed, if you guys haven't noticed from me hyping it so much. So extra Affliction damage, 67 or 34%, whatever it is, depending on the leader or support, 67%, since if he's doing his commander and support, is a lot of extra Affliction damage. It's like 4 extra ticks, which is enough to kill an enemy. I've seen certain melees that can 1 or 2 hit a smasher if you just wait for the Affliction to finish them off. And he has excellent synergy with Zenith. So, because he has such relevant synergy to an amazing 6 perk and Zenith, who freezes enemies, and the Affliction can crit, which reactivates his freeze, I'll put him in A tier. It's wild to say it. It's wild to say it, but yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at my personal playthrough, I have used Hybrid more than Alchemist Sarah recently, and that's something to consider. It's just a really interesting hero who shouldn't be that good, maybe F tier, but Affliction's really good nowadays, and that matters. So Infiltrator Ken makes your smoke bomb wider. It's about as useful as Freeboot Ken. He used to be insanely strong when he was bugged in like 2019, but they fixed him years ago. It's not even worth mentioning anymore. So now it's just a slightly bigger smoke bomb, which is barely doing anything. So I know I'm gonna upset some people with this one, but Intergalactic Ken is a favorite amongst a lot of people who like to make their shield go up. So there are certain synergies. That's what I mean. Like, you almost never want to be using energy weapons if you can avoid it. Some melees are locked to it, and that makes sense. That makes sense. And restoring your shield is rarely what you care about. The only time I've ever seen him really make sense is when you're pairing him with Eddie. Eddie does more damage than I ever gave credit for. I mentioned that melee expert, AS407. I record these in front of a live audience, by the way. Twitch link down below. He has shown me the light. I'm still pushing back on Eddie because you kind of need Intergalactic Ken, but his effective damage bonus is like 200,000 per hit in the right setup, and Intergalactic Ken gives you enough shield to make that viable. So I'll put him in B tier. I'll put him in high B tier. He is far from the main character in his loadouts, but I understand how he can be a crucial piece to making a build work. So I'm putting him in B tier in recognition. I'm still not sold on Intergalactic Ken, though. Only in very certain uses is he that good. Jurassic Ken gives you a 20% damage bonus to abilities. That is awesome. However, that is with no shield. So you kind of need Drassican in a Blast from the Past build to do anything, and Blast from the Past abilities are super rare. So he's like S tier when you need him, but like rarely getting any use. There are very few abilities that are worth using Blast from the Past. Only certain Venture seasons that cut down on the cooldown. Does that make any sense? So I'll put him in B tier. Same as Ken. Really good when you need him. Super, I guess they're both Ken. Really good when you need him, but not all that often useful, so that's where he's at. Swashbuckler, she gives you, I don't even know which one she is. There's a whole set of pirate heroes that give you like melee and sword bonuses switching off, and I don't know which one she is, but she's one of the okay ones. If you're using one, you want to use the other one. Pistol sword damage, I mean, it's a fun build. It's a fun build. More viable than you'd think. I'm going to put her in really low B tier because it's a fun build when you want to use it, but it's super niche. Lynx is easy A tier, obviously. She gives you a massive damage bonus in the Storm King fight. You just, I mean, in all fight situations, but in the Storm King with the crystals, it's particularly amazing. You just leap up into the air, one shot or two shot or whatever crystal. Then you can use her ability to buff the Plasmatic Discharger in the end phase and versus mini bosses. She is the queen of MSK. I don't think S tier though, because MSK is like that fight you do once a week. It's not like your main build. You can use her with, you know, Pot Shot, Storm King's Wrath, launchers in general, Plasmatic Discharger. Fun fact, the Plasmatic Discharger gets buffed retroactively, meaning you can shoot the ball of energy, then kunai to get full effect of it. That is what you should be doing if you're ever using the Storm King fight with Lynx, as you should be. You shoot the Plasmatic Discharger at the end phase or at the mini boss, then kunai to get the full effect of it. Or if you're using wafers until you're rocking out, in or out of the MSK fight, if you shoot the ball of energy at a smasher, like a power level 250 smasher, then eat your wafer, and it'll do more damage retroactively. So I think it's A tier. I don't want to put it in S tier because Lynx is already very overrated in the Save the World community, but yeah. Mert Monster Ken gives you extra melee damage based on missing health. That is bad synergy. Typically with Paleoluna being awesome and yeah, having low health extra damage has never convinced me. I'm going to put him in D tier just because I have seen builds with him. It's never been good. I'm just going to leave him down there. Monks makes it so that when you kunai, she drops bananas and enemies slip on them. It's kind of good. It's like Deimos and Cloak Shadow. It's a nice ability, makes kunai a little bit better. You might want to use her if you're using kunai, but yeah. Overtaker hero is kunai again. So he makes it so that your kunai kills reduce the cooldown. If you're running him in the lead and you get 2 kills with Happy Holidays, your kunai is back instantly. That is really good. I'm going to put him in low A tier. I know I've underrated kunai and I started this tier list by kind of talking crap about it, but it's really fun in the lower zones and ventures and whatever. It's not going to play the game for you, but he makes kunai way better than it otherwise would be. So yeah, I'm putting him in A tier just because I can. Paleoluna's obvious S tier. I don't think I need to explain that. She is incredible. I'm going to say it anyway, just because, you know, all these mediocre heroes, I'm not just going to slide past my personal favorite. 9% of your health is a ton. I am power level 145 nowadays, you know, I've grown, and my teammates from the stream are usually 130 or higher. So I know in the end game, it is comfortable with Blast in the Past to have 1.7 million health without any setup. It's just normal. If you multiply that by 0.09, you are doing 153,000 damage every single swing. If you pair that, I need to start hitting escape again. If you pair that with a fast swinging melee, let's just do a normal one. Not even, here, let's do Stabs worth a third. Base game weapon, anybody can pick this up. This is even Sunbeam. It's not even like the faster swinging Bright Core. That's 0.28 swing speed on that, all right? If we are swinging 1 second divided by 0.28, that means we're swinging that many times per second. Multiply that by the 153,000 or whatever it was. We are doing 546,000 extra damage from Luna in the lead. That's 500,000 DPS with no weapon damage factored. And that's just a normal stabs worth. You can get a much faster swing speed than that. If you're just using like a triple attack speed, Ravager is 0.25. It gets nuts. You can have triple attack speed. Let me see. I think I have a copy. Oh, I changed my... Oh, no. This one's right. Yeah, Bright Core. Yeah, there we go. 0.22. That might not sound like much, all right? We were at 546 a second ago. Let's do this. Divided by 0.22. Multiply that by 153,000. We are up to... We just went up over 100, I think 40. Was that 140,000 DPS because we went down 0.08. That's how crazy this can get. If you eat a wafer or activate Battle Beat and you get that Rock and Rift bonus of 0.32 on the swing speed, you can get almost a million extra DPS with Paleoluna. She's just nuts. She's just nuts. It's just a really, really strong hero, even if you're running her in support. Just a crazy hero. Things get out of hand real quick with her. The next thing on the list, the reason I went so far into hyping up Paleoluna, I had to make my sentence very careful right there. Don't want to be going too hard into Luna here. Is because Piercing Lotus is our next one. Yeah, so we're piercing Luna with Lotus. Okay, I need to focus. Spear heavy attack efficiency is not that great. Swords are usually better anyway, so I'm just gonna put the heavy attack efficiency heroes here because it's not that big of a deal. Igor is Smoke Bomb energy cost. Smoke Bomb is really cheap. The only energy cost you should be using is Sarah Hotep. I'll explain that later. He is F tier because it's just never viable. I don't remember what Ray does. I do not remember. I think she's an intergalactic clone, so she is one step higher because it's Ray and pay to win, I guess. It's the same hero. It's not pay to win. I'm joking. This is Razor. She gives you extra daggers from your kunai that do damage. It's kind of nice. It's a little good. I'll put her with Overtaker Hero just because it's a nice thing to have in support if you're running kunai. This is Samurai, another starter pack, same as Ray. No longer accessible, no longer purchasable. He is the exact same as Piercing Lotus, and I'm putting him above just because if you pay for a hero, I know you're going to want to feel good about that, and so I'm going to help you out. There you go. Sarah Hotep. So I said to explain it. She gives you an energy reduction to Dragon Slash. That is a bigger deal than it might sound because you can see energy cost 30%. If I go to the ability tab, you can see Dragon Slash is 50 energy. There are heroes. Let me just talk about our apparently not S tier anymore. Dragon Scorch. If you use all of his abilities, that is 30 plus 40, that's up to 120 energy. 120 energy if you use all of his abilities. However, if you put Sarah Hotep in support for the most expensive ability, by the way, I said Smoke Bomb is irrelevant because Dragon Slash exists. This is kind of why. The only time you'd ever be using the cooldown. So if you take 50 times 0.3, we're just shaving 15 off the top. Well, now it's a 35 energy. You add that up with 40 and then plus 30. Now it's 105. If you use her in support, she makes it just barely viable to use like all of your abilities without any extra help. And I feel like I did that math wrong because I thought she was just enough to bring it under without an energy pylon, but maybe she's doing her lead in support. That's a thing that we've seen before, but regardless, it's a nice bonus. And if I divide by 1.3, I'm learning math live on camera. Is that just gonna be the same number? Maybe it's 38, but that's more expensive. I think it's 15. So yeah, it's 105 for all three, and then it's like 120 if you add them all up. So it's a nice ability that can help you spam them more often. If you're using like Blast from the Past, which is sometimes viable with Dragon Slash, you can use Fossil Southie in support, generating 4 energy every second. That can help a little bit. And I only say that because Dragon Slash is already a short cooldown. It's like 10 seconds normally. So if you go ahead and use Happy Holidays, you're going from a 10-second cooldown to 6. 4 extra seconds might not sound like a big deal. It's usually not, but it's there. So Sarah Hotep is surprisingly viable. High B tier, nothing crazy exceptional, but I use her in my Dragon Slash builds more than you might think. The next one here is a chick. I don't remember her. Yeah, Shuriken Master. I think she's like 1 extra Shuriken in support. It's pretty okay. Again, it's not that exceptional. I'll put her right next to the Affliction guy if I can even remember. Yeah, that's where she is. So not that useful getting 1 extra Shuriken, but it is a thing. Skirmisher Edge, I think, is another throwing star. So let me just double check that. Shuriken Master is the 1 extra, and oh man, do I not have him? This happens sometimes where I just don't have a hero. There he is. He's one of my expedition heroes. Yeah, throwing star energy cost, same thing. You're not really using throwing stars so much that you need him. I think he's functionally useless, so I'm putting him in F tier. Then we've got Anti-Cuddle. So this is Anti-Cuddle, right? No, this is Snuggle Specialist. Yeah, Snuggle Specialist gives you a trail of energy behind your Dragon Slash. Really good support character. I'll put her right up next to Sarah Hotep, high B tier, because if you're running Dragon Slash, you need her in support. That blue flame trail you leave is really good. Sometimes if you line up your Dragon Slash correctly, you'll weaken the enemies with the Dragon Slash, run behind the fire, and then they'll just walk into their fire and die. It's actually quite viable, and yeah. Stonefoot Crash is Crescent Kick, so F tier. Stoneheart Farah, easy S tier. Whichever one of these is more important to you, these two ladies can flip-flop the #1 S tier position all day long. I happen to know that Stoneheart Farah is the most popular ninja in the entire game. For obvious reasons. She makes bows, which are already insanely strong. Xenon bow, vacuum tube bow, cloud burst, just to name a few great ones. She makes them splinter off and do more damage. I've lately pushed back on her a little bit because that 5 extra nearby targets is not that useful for the Xenon bow, which is already rocking an infinite pierce. And the vacuum tube bow pairs insanely well with her because I don't have my chart prepared, but you know what? I'm gonna go find it. Okay, I searched far and wide just to illustrate this. I drew this a long time ago, but it's actually accurate. So when you hit an enemy with your vacuum tube bow, Farah does her 5 more hits. Then you have your 6 chain lightning that can branch off to other targets, and each one of the chain lightning zaps can activate her perk 5 more times each. So Stoneheart Farah is phenomenal in the lead with your vacuum tube bow, but I've been pushing back on her a little bit just because Rabbit Raider Jonesy exists and he does hugely more damage. He's 225% extra crit damage for bows, and I can't find him because I'm alphabetized and didn't realize it. Yeah, this is way more damage in the lead, especially for like the Xenon bow. But I mean, if she's not in the lead, she should be in support. I mentioned all this in my bow loadouts video. Regardless, absolute S tier hero, no doubt about it. Lamurai is something. I actually forgot because he had a different ability back in the day, and it's not a current relevant ability today. What does he do? Throwing star cooldown. Yeah, it's kind of nice. You can spam him if you have the right setup. I'll put him in like mid C tier because he's kind of useful if you want to do it. But yeah, Swordmaster Ken is a hero that gives you a 75% damage bonus to your sword with Shadow Stance. So it's swords only after your Shadow Stance, which is killing an enemy without his bonus, and then it's less than Assassin Sarah. So yeah, an A tier hero for sure, maybe low A tier. I'll put him above Kunai, and maybe I'll put him less than energy-based builds, and then above smoke bombs and above hybrid. So he's not horrible, but you should like never use it. Like, he's really good if you get him in a llama. He does extra damage, but it's not that big of a deal. Now, I actually lost my cheat sheet, so I don't really know who I'm working with here. Let me just go to my portraits real quick here, and we got Thunderstrike Mari. She makes it so that when you get a kill, I think if you lose your shield, it freezes enemies around her, which is not that useful. She could be really good for stalling. I'll put her in like low B tier. Varsity Hero, easy S tier for the one key reason of the fact that he drops Fumble Footballs, which can activate Totally Rockin' Out and Rockin' Riff. That's a really good bonus. I use him all the flippin' time in builds that are not even ninja related. If you're running Totally Rockin' Out, he's one of the 3 main heroes you want in support. Excellent hero. This is Venturion. He sends out like a ranged attack with your Crescent Kick. Borderline useless, low D tier. Whirlwind Scorch, I routinely forget what he does, which is a really bad thing. And yeah, Crescent Kick Impact, it's nothing. It's nothing. And then Whiteout Fiona, yeah. Last but for sure not least, she gives you a crit rating bonus to swords, axes, and scythes, which are 3 of the best melee categories in the entire game. And because of her, you don't always need a crit rating perk. Really good, super solid hero. Should definitely be using her in the support of your melee builds. So there's my updated ninja tier list. This kind of became a melee talk at the end because it's a ninja tier list. Let me go to my old tier list right now. I am on YouTube light mode, so warning in advance, and I had to click it 3 times. It didn't load, which is why I'm taking a second. Let me mute old me and see how does this stack up to the modern day. All right, let me, this is kind of tiny. I can just sort of expand it just like this. Okay, that didn't help much, but it looks like Paleo Luna, obviously the regulars are still up there. Assassin Sarah is significantly higher value nowadays, and Dragon Scorch is a little lesser value, I can see by that opinion. Hybrid and his utility was less discovered back then. I was a little harsher with the F tiers, but it seems like most of the middle stuff, the, you know, C, B, D tier, were all more or less the same, with my opinions kind of favoring Dragon Slash a bit higher at the time. I might have recorded this in a period where like Dragon Slash was really good in Ventures, and I'm surprised that Lynx is so low. I think I just wanted to make it very clear to the community because she's a super popular early game hero. I wanted to make it clear that she wasn't some legendary must-have pick that everybody should run, but I'm not sure what kind of effect that had. I think A tier is honestly fair, and it's interesting how the opinions can change, but there you go. There's the updated list. Subscribe if you guys want more. Leave a like on the video, comment down below what you thought. I'll see you guys in the next one. Couple of recommended videos here at the end, obviously, and if you check out one of those, it'll make me happy. So, you know, do whatever you want to do. See you guys in the next one. Did I say that like 4 times? See you guys in the next one. I don't have like a solid outro. I should really figure it out. I've been doing this for almost 8 years, and I have 144,000 subscribers. You would think I'd have a normal